All right, how's it going? I want to talk about something that I discuss a lot on my videos, and things that I've been addressing, speaking to, and that is the the what's been made taboo, virtually taboo. Uh, Things that things that are natural in our emotional and mental, uh, as well as a natural law uh, of in us, and that is the idea that hate and having violent reaction, and even wanting to get retribution and vengeance against something that's hateful. And I'm talking about universally, natural universal laws and states that we all share. It doesn't matter, the quote unquote, if you're a right winger, a liberal, lefty, or center, or conservative, or whatever you want to call it. And it's simple as if somebody comes at you, like so many stories from back when we had the cowboys and Indians and all this, where cowboys come in and they want to take your land, they want to take your cattle, they want to take your children, and they want to take your house, and they're willing to those, and you want to stand against it, and you want to take action to prevent such things like that. Those are natural laws. It's proper for you to hate something like that because it is a hateful thing. It's something that's common. We all commonly share it. We should be rightfully hateful and angry about such things. Especially if you're not doing anything to warrant such things. So that's what I mean about being natural law. And it doesn't matter your skin color. It doesn't matter where you live in the world. It doesn't matter if you call yourself an American, French, Chinese, Indonesian, or Indian from India. It doesn't matter if you call yourself a Muslim, or if you call yourself Hindu, or Buddhist, or whatever. The simple fact of the matter is, these are commonalities. And so, if it's unwarranted, because you haven't done anything to the people that are doing this, those are the natural laws I'm talking about. And we've made fighting back and being hateful against hateful things that are being done unto us in the West into basically taboo, and that only people that are in the government or in positions of law enforcement and judicial, you can only do it if you. That's complete and utter nonsense. Complete and utter nonsense. That's why laws are inconsistent. While we do need laws, we need justice. If it's absent natural law, absent reality, then it's not a law. What it is protection. And we've seen how many examples of where, even in the old cowboy and Indian movies, you see you see, examples of where judges, can pervert that, and it's something that's been happening for the longest time. You got these so-called judges and law enforcement, and where sheriffs, even back then, sheriffs and others, they basically are nothing more than criminals themselves. The big landowners and the cattle owners and all that. Like they use the violence, they use bribery, they use all this, and it's a dynamic that's always played out. And we're now seeing another a resurgence of this, where you got the so-called politicians and judges making rulings to allow the hateful ones that are actually committing the crimes get away with it. I mean, I mentioned before about this judge, and it's not just in New York. It's happened in California, and it's happened over and over, where this young punk rapes a girl. Oh, and the judge rules. Oh, shows mercy and says, oh, he comes from a good family. We can't take his. We can't take. That's that's a warped sort of perversion. That goes to show you the so-called hypocrisy, and another word for hypocrisy is a lie. So that judge is a criminal, yet he's serving. The so-called Supreme Court, who said, "Oh, they won't. It's the law of the land. About women having autonomy over their bodies. I forget but I think you know what I'm talking about. But now they're going against their own thing about it's the law of the land. But that's just one example. The Supreme Court is the one that made the illegal, hateful, and criminal ruling that corporations are people. So that, they already had lobbying, they already had wealthy people basically funding and picking those who will be within be part of the government. I mean, it's not just for elected, but for the unelected, ones that they point. And so, we in the West, we've been so conditioned and indoctrinated that we've basically forgotten how to be hateful, forgotten how to stand up for ourselves, how to view things that should be hateful and intolerable. And I talked about this in previous videos, and I've lost a lot of. And I had I had almost like 80 subscribers, and I went down to 62. And it's like, that's because I kept on talking about this intolerance for what we should naturally have an intolerance for. And by our intolerance and by our complacency, our looking at ourselves as individuals and not as a community standing by the well-being and welfare of the community, which they can pervert to, oh, immigrants, oh, the guy that looks like me, oh, black people, oh, the indigenous, oh, the Chinese, or the, whatever. And this sort of stuff is what perverts and defangs and declaws us. And why we need to stand forcefully, why we need to keep ourselves informed. And that takes part of the place of that. It takes place within the so-called religions. They take out the what's written is an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, which isn't just in the Islamic or Muslim world. Okay, it's across the board, and they've taken this out, and there's a reason why that was in there. And it's not a religious thing; it's a philosophical thing that's been around well before all of them were ever written, even during the pagan religions. They existed in the pagan religions. So that's why we've lost. That's why we are. There's so much perversion of the natural laws and rules, and why we're so susceptible to these demagogues and these people and these straw men. Why we're so naive. Because we've lost the ability to understand what is right and wrong. This is why I talk about how gray zone is not. There is no such thing as a gray zone. You commit a crime. You commit a crime that affects millions upon millions. That makes you the definition of evil, of perverted. You know, there's that saying. You know, if you kill one or a dozen people, then that makes you a criminal, and and you need to pay for it. But you kill millions, tens of thousands of millions. Hey, you get into politics. It's acceptable. See, I view it as you kill a person, right? You kill a person for no reason whatsoever, because you wanted to, or because you wanted something out of it. That makes you an evil person. I'm not talking about lashing out in a fit of anger over a misunderstanding. I'm not talking about those sort of things. You didn't actually intend to kill him, or if you killed him, I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about people that actually knew what they were doing. So the greater the numbers makes you even worse. And the fact that you've never paid for it and you continue to do it, and we continue to allow these people access to power that has control over policies, the finances and everything, that is we are aiding and abetting. We are aiding and abetting. That makes us complicit. That's what I'm talking about. And the reason I bring this up because Abby Martin and a few others are actually starting to not come outright saying it, but they're alluding to this by the way they're talking about the topics that they talk about, and they just haven't cemented what I've been talking about. I love Abby. I respect Abby. Richard Meadows, I respect him, but his take on Guaido being pushed around and being shown to be an evil little prick that he is, okay, who's contributed to thousands of deaths and it's just like I don't believe in violence. Well, he thinks there's a gray zone to it. There is no gray zone. Those people that were attacking Guaido, and rightfully so, okay, they were in the complete right. They were not doing anything wrong. Guaido has continued to do the violence. He's been taking money away from the Venezuelan public, and he is continuing to do violence because the U.S. allowed. The U.S. criminals in the government allowed it. They set it up for him to do that. Venezuelan government, the legitimate one, that's there right now, not Guaido, but the legitimate one of Nicolas Maduro and all, they should have arrested this fucker. They should have tried him, and they should have had a public execution. Because it's rightful. All of them are gangsters, mafias, and aristocracy, self-appointed aristocracy. And they do like feudal nobles did. They dictate who dies and who prospers and who stays in power. That is just plain evil. The monarchy in England, they're the most one of the most evil bunch of people ever to have existed. And that evil bitch should have been killed in her cradle, along with that family. Actually, I take it back. Not in the cradle. Not in the cradle. But when she got old enough and she contributed even further to the evil deeds that they've already committed, then she should have been killed. But, that whole so-called monarchy and nobility should never have been allowed to continue. Get in the yard, Bentley. Never. And I don't care if you call it a presidency, a monarchy, or a republican. If you're so-called appointed and elected leaders are committing crimes, and you are allowing it to happen, and you have a military and police force who are enforcing and allowing them to commit the crime, then you are culpable. You are allowing this evil to continue. You are part of the problem. You are self-propagating the evil. Whether you call yourself a religious leader, a political leader, a civil leader, it doesn't matter. We must have a recognition that there is evil, and that it isn't some mythical devil or Satan or demon. It is people. It is people that we allow into positions. So it is only rightful to stand up against them, to force them out, run them out, and let them know in no way are they allowed to participate, to become the powerful. I always talk about this, and people need to start to understand. Fear is a part of nature. This is why you see in the animal kingdom why herds of the so-called wild herbivores, like deer and others, why they stand as a group against the predator. Why even in the carnivores, they stand as a pack or pride to stand against. That's the type of force I'm talking about. And if you need to use force and the circumstances warrant it, then you need to. And that is why, and because we don't do this, that is why the criminals, the ones that can make the rules, keep reaping the rewards. the material rewards, and they keep piling on the power because we do not stand. That is a community. Whether it's happening out in the so-called natural world, we have to understand we are part of the natural world. And if we cannot take an example of the animal kingdom, which we say we are different from, and if we cannot, then basically what are you doing? You're surrendering. You know, we say we want to be, we're different from the animal kingdom, but we're not. Because within a pride of lions, it is the male lion who often dictates. Again, the concept of one, and never mind. Let's forget that it's a male lion, but one. Let's say one in the pride of lions, or a couple in the pack of wolves. We have a few who dictate to the whole. And we're supposed to be different? How are we different? How are we different? What's the difference between a bunch of domesticated cows being herded into stocks and then being led to the slaughter, and us, who stand by and allow the ones who make the policies? And worse, not only are we allowing them to make the policies that benefit them and those who will keep them bribed, right? But we still get slaughtered. We're giving our labor, our blood, our intellect, everything to them, and they keep taking. How is that any different? You're still being slaughtered, whether financially, economically, however you want it. In time, with your family, with your kids, with being able to have the leisure to learn things, to do things that make you healthier and happier. What is the difference? These are the things I constantly talk about. There's a reason why. It's not philosophy. It's based on observation. It's based on a core understanding of the natural laws and abiding consistently with those natural laws. I will not tolerate, just like you will not tolerate, somebody coming up to me with absolutely no cause because they decided they want something I have, or they just want to let out their frustrations onto me. I will not tolerate. I will fight back. Those are natural laws. We all share it. If it's unjust and unfair, that is the core. Too much of what happens in our so-called Western culture and society, we forget that the core of justice is not the acceptance of the unfair and unjust. The natural way of things that we all universally share. Even if you are the so-called racist, white supremacist and nationalist, you don't. If you were put in the position of somebody else being able to dictate what violence and what they can do to you, you won't stand for it. Even if you don't fight back, you know that deep down that you don't want it to happen to you. This is a commonality. It happens in the animal world as well. But in the animal world, they actually follow more true to the natural laws. They have a deeper understanding We don't. And therefore, we have to learn and we have to apply this. All right, thanks for the time.